What's going on, guys? Brian here with Sinister Gaming. Just want to showcase my top 4 Runick Stun deck profile for the grand reopening of one of our locals, Top Choice Gaming in Redlands, California. Shout outs to them for hosting the event. So I decided to pick up or play this deck for the event just because of the pending ban list, and also I'm personally not going to be attending any events probably for the rest of the month, so I haven't really been testing anything, and I just figured this was a really good pick for the current metagame, and it proved to do pretty well. I only had one tie from the whole event and no losses, so that was pretty cool. It was a top 4 split, so that's how I'm putting myself in the top 4 category. But yeah, let's just get right into it. A lot of it should be pretty standard and optimized, but I will say that it performed really well and just didn't break really at all. So we got the 2 fountains, of course, the 3 tip. I saw tip a decent amount of the time, so it was nice. Yeah, I did open this like maybe 3 or 4 times. It was actually kind of insane, and if I didn't open it immediately, I would like duality into it, so it wasn't too bad. Then we got the flashing fire and the freezing curses. These are kind of like the more board breaking ones, which I think most people are familiar with. The slumber, which is probably the best original one other than tip, just because you can use it on your own turn, using it on your own monsters, and banishing 3 is nice. And then we have destruction. The destruction was really good this tourney, just because there's I played U-Bell, Pearly, Labyrinth, and Memento, and all those kind of set a back row or have like a really just continuous spell that's face up on the field, so that kind of just hits it. And yeah, it's just pretty nice, and banishing 4 is really good. For my one-ofs, I was playing the complete package, so it's pretty much just maxing out on all the best names possible, and then using like the standard one-ofs that people play. Smiting Storm was, did its job. I never resolved dispelling to snipe one, but I like having the extra name because I don't want to get blown out by harpies. Like, I always want to open like 2 runic spells at least, so having the extra name does help with that consistency aspect quite a bit. And Runick Golden Droplet, I did use this a lot to make my opponent draw and then banish, so that pretty much sped up the game a lot. This is mainly good like when you're already ahead, or just like the numbers for when you're decking your opponent out just don't really add up, like if they're on 5 or something and you have like tip, or if they're on 6 and you have tip, like that's gonna help there because that'll equal 6. It'll be 5 from this, the draw, and 4, and the tip, that's 1, so that's 6 total. So that's pretty neat there. And then I played some other consistency cards, like these 5 pots. I didn't want to go on 6 just because I was never really a firm believer in the 3 pot kind of thing, especially in something like this where you need to play with fountain. So I mean, if fountain was at 3, this could probably be at 3, but more than likely this deck's getting some type of hit on the ban list. So for now, I'm really liking just the 2 desires. You can always discard one if you draw the other. I know that's the argument if you have the 3, but I just would rather have different variations of cards that aren't hard once per turn that can get ashed. So like I'd rather get ashed on this, or just have like more ways to be ashed, like this, and also have a couple of other targets, like the 1 day and the Carom Eyes. The Carom Eyes was pretty good. Sometimes I would have so much advantage just from having this and fountain that when I draw into this, I don't even use it, and it's just set for like the rest of the duel, or just like in my hand the rest of the duel. So that happened a couple times, which is funny because that like typically never happens when I play this deck. So this deck was just flowing so smoothly for me this tournament that I hardly like needed this to win. But when I did have this, it was really nice. And then the 1 day apiece like probably saved me from losing 2 games outright just because of like card advantage wise. So I at least had to get like 2 turns to play, and it's 2 turns because I get to play on my opponent's turn 2 to try to draw a fountain. So that's nice. And yeah, as time comes on, like when you're playing against the Fiendsmith engine, they burn you for 12. So when you pass turn to them, you can't really do anything. And then on their end phase, you can just summon Moon and gain 1,000 and you win. So that's pretty nice. And then we have other cards to try to win too in time. So that was the Runick engine consistency cards. The only monsters I played was a Mono Iwado. I used to play Inspector Border, but this was better for the event. And in general, I think it's pretty decent going first, since it protects you from hand traps. But going second, this was really, really nasty because I think I only won like maybe 1 or 2 die rolls. And then whenever I had this, it pretty much just helped me win the game. So I could just like tip and destruction freely without having to pop anything. And like even like going up against Tempai, like on the crackback, if they hand DK me and they just end on seals, I just normal this, flashing fire, pop it, and they don't get anything out of it. And it's really nice. And worst case scenario, this is like an imperm bait, where it's like Inspector Border on an established board, they don't need to use imperm on it since they'll have like at least 3 interactions. So they could save the imperm on like my Hugin or my typon when I summon that. So yeah, this was definitely the right call. Shoutouts to my boy Gohan for letting me use these. And then for the not so fun part, fun for us but not for the opponent, are the floodgates. The only spell floodgate I'm playing is D-Fissure. I've been seeing it's been getting more popularity, but I was always a proponent of this card just because it's good going second. It pretty much just baits a lot of interruptions when you're going second. And then in the past, people were playing like Eldritch the Golden Lord, and some people still play it to try to out your cards when they discard it and a spell and trap to like send one of your cards on field to the grave. And it was basically impossible to prevent that from happening, or from them to get like a send off of that. So it was always going to resolve in this matchup. But with D-Fissure, that just is not even close to being a factor because it's not possible to do under D-Fissure. So that's nice. And then you can like activate this against Snake Eye and then pop like Flame Bird and stuff and crack their follow-up play. So that in particular was really strong for me. And in addition, this also can bait like SP Little Knight and stuff, so that's cool. Some other SP Little Knight baits is the Synchro Zone. This is mainly only good when it's accompanied with the next floodgates that I'll show. And I know like Tempai is like a really popular deck, but if you're using your resources correctly, you can make it so this is going to be really high impact against them, and you basically just won't die. As long as you flip this at the start of the battle phase against like the Chandra or the whatever the orange dragon's name is that specials from deck when an attack is declared, that pretty much just stops like 1 to 2 bodies from coming out on its own just from this being face up. So if you have this paired with something else, like a way to prevent them from going to a synchro summon, then that's amazing. So some of the other things also to work with that work in tandem with this, or that work in tandem with the Synchro Zone, is Rivalry goes in TC Boo, and I play 1 Grave in the main deck. So these together, that pretty much just stops Tempai because that fixes both aspects of like what this is missing. And so pretty much they're kind of like the opposite of each other in a way. So that works there. And then, you know, TC Boo is just TC Boo. Gozen's probably the worst one, but I still wanted something just to potentially kind of break the board when I go second. I didn't really see it as much as like a going first card as it is much of a going second card. So Yeah, because most decks are usually ending on like Dark Fire, Light, with the implementation of Fiendsmith. So you're getting at least a little bit of value from the Light Fiends being there, or the additional attribute being there, so that's kind of nice. And then Rivalry and Teasboo are like definitely the best ones. Yeah, these are just really good. Especially with the inclusion of Fiendsmith, like basically all these are good against anything Fiendsmith, so that's why I like these also. And then lastly, of course, we have the Skill Drain. It did its job. I never got I never had Hugin or Heartbeast plus Skill Drain with when I had Skill Drain up, so then my Hugin can protect. That's pretty much just the choke point of this deck other than Cosmic Cyclone. So I tried to flip this like not as late as possible, but if I could afford to like wait a little bit, I flipped it a little late. And it worked out in my favor, but yeah, sometimes you just have to do it early, especially against like Tempai and stuff like that. So yeah, Skill Drain to Skill Drain. Can't really say much about that. And then going to the extra deck, we have 3 Hugin and 3 Gary. These were pretty good. I never really went through the max of all of them. I went through 2 Gary in one game and like 2 Hugin in one game. But yeah, typically I never went over, but you still want the 3 and 3 because these are the most common to come up. And then one that I summoned like way more than normal was Frey. Sometimes I just had so much advantage my opponents didn't want to scoop, so I would just beat them down with this plus like another body like an Amanu Iwado under Skill Drain plus this under Skill Drain, and like this, both those bodies get over like hand trap set and defense with their 1800 defense. So yeah, pretty much every turn you're just swinging at them for 19 or 2000, and after a few turns, if you don't activate any runic spells, you can pretty much just kill them. So it's pretty nice there. Frey did his job. 2's enough. 2 Moonin for wholesome purposes, and then also this is the way that you don't auto lose to Cosmic Cyclone. If you open Solemn Judgment in game 2 or 3, or Curse of the Forbidden spell, usually you just make this guy. So you have like 2 different ways to beat the combination of like cards you lose to, which is like Cosmic and Heartbeat. So, and you just gain life points on top of that. So you can, after a few turns, your Solemn Judgment just becomes free. But just be mindful that when's the best opportunity to use him. And then I have the Sleipnir. I don't play the Tyrant's Tirade that summons a bunch of tokens. I don't even want to use this on my opponent's main phase to like not play into talents. Like I'd rather talents be dead, so I wouldn't even summon tokens honestly with this. So the only time this really comes up is I summon this on my turn to bait an interruption, and then this gets negated with like Imperm or something, and I can put like a typon over it, so that's pretty cool. And then even though he can't attack, I can still bounce something and then clear something from my extra deck, so that's really nice. And additionally, this is pretty good against Tenpai during the battle phase. You just go at the start of the battle phase special and then activate this effect on summon to banish, especially like on Chandra or something, because that's the tuner and it gets them another body. So definitely would continue playing this. He's one of my favorites. And then for the XCs, the only one I went into was Typon. I didn't make this, and I didn't make the Exciton Knight, but they're good in theory if you have the opportunity of just having like a runic spell and any name. But I guess in this scenario, pretty much just has to be a Mono Iwado. So I guess these mainly come up if your Mono Iwado gets impermed and you can just summon a runic spell with a runic spell, and you kind of just have like no other plays. So that's good just to stall for a bit. And then we have SP Little Knight. I did summon this I think twice to clear the extra deck monster. On the follow-up turn, it clears itself if your opponent activates any card or effect with another monster on board, you just banish. So you can put it in the main monster zone. So yeah, this was not a mistake either. It was really good. And then for the side deck cards, probably the best card was the Spooky. I pretty much put it in game. I saw someone, I think it was at the European Nats, that said that you should side this in playing in game 2 and 3. And that's exactly what I did. I think I gained like 20,000 life points off like U-Bell alone and Memento. So that saved me like honestly like 2 turns. And then in game 3 you can keep this in even when you go first. So you can have Moon and plus this, or if you can't get to Moon and you can have this, which I did do to someone in my final game that I played in the top 8. Before splitting in top 4, I had D-Fissure plus this, and you can use it under D-Fissure. So it was pretty nasty because practically the only way you could stop this is just through Cross-Out Designator, since you can't get called by the Graved. So that was nice. The other spot potentially that could have been for this was D-Shifter, but I just would rather play with my runic spells in the grave. That was essentially the only thing. Next we have the Sphere modes. The Sphere modes didn't auto win me games, but they helped me stay in the game to try to at least win like in game 3, or let me start in game 3 with an ample amount of time. Otherwise I just auto scoop and then like I could potentially lose like in a long game state, because honestly one of the main advantages of this deck is having several ways just to gain life points and stuff in time. Yeah, just be mindful of the skill tree and stuff like that. But yeah, the Sphere mode was really good. Some people, I would say most people didn't play around it, but in that top 4 or top 8 match against the U-Bell Fiendsmith, I don't know if he intentionally played around it or not, because he didn't bring out a Phantom, but this definitely would have just like auto won me the game, because I had Tip plus Destruction, so I had and he flipped anti-spell on me and I had an answer to his anti-spell, but he had Desiree plus like I think like a SP or something, so I feel like he misplayed into making his board, but that kind of just saved him in the game anyway, so pretty funny. But yeah, this was nice, definitely, for sure. For the going first aspect, I play the Inspector Border instead of the Amano Awato. In some matches, I'll probably play the Amano Awato, just like one of them. But yeah, Inspector Border is like really insane when you open it. If they don't see an imperm or a board wipe for this, you practically just you could win by just having this card on the field. And then for flex picks, I put Cosmic, just because it's good against Tenpai, U-Bell, and the Mirror, going first or second. And then like it's also good against Snake Eye. You can hit like IP and stuff in the Spawn Trap Zone. That's I sided this against Snake Eye, usually just 2 when I'm going first or second. But yeah, for like the Mirror, I'm definitely putting 3 in some other matchups. And then some other going first cards. I have, well, I guess this is kind of like a flex. I'm playing the second Grave. For Branded, Tenpai, U-Bell. This was really good against U-Bell also, since all the monsters are pretty much over the level of 6. And this protects you from Phantom of U-Bell, since they can't activate it. And so yeah, they can't kill you with like Nightmare Pain with this up, so it's pretty nice. So I definitely enjoyed having that in my deck in general, and saved me a couple times on that. Solemn Judgment, and I did play the 1 Curse Seal just because I only had access to one, and kind of like pretty much like the way it would go down is if you didn't want to play the second Grave for whatever reason, this could just either be the second Curse Seal or the 3 Judgment, or, you know, vice versa. This could be the last Judgment. This could be the same thing as it is. So There's a little bit of flexibility. I just kind of want to have the variation here, and it did kind of pay off. There's only one instance where this didn't work out for me, but that's just because it was unfortunate that I drew 2 monsters with it in my like max 7 monster deck when I have everything in the side deck. So it was just very unfortunate I didn't draw a spell for that. But yeah, the Judgment was good and the Grave was good. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, or feedback about the deck or just the format in general, you know, feel free to drop it below. And yeah, catch you in the next one.